we're getting to the gut, or at least part of it. Today on your tour of your inner microscopic universe, we are talking about the small intestine. This is a constantly shifting ecosystem with drastically different conditions depending on exactly where you are, which is why I think it's quite similar to tide pools. I really wanted to actually take you to some tide pools for this video, but apparently, despite doing a PhD, I don't have the technical skill to film outdoors of all things, so we're just gonna have to make do with a little bit of green screen to fill in the gaps here. The first thing to note about the small intestine is that it is super long, 7 meters, or 3 people lying down to be exact. So you can imagine with all of that bundled up inside of you, the conditions from one end to the other are drastically different. At the stomach end of your small intestine, the microbes are exposed to more things like bile and stomach acid, but also have greater access to raw nutrients that have yet to be absorbed by the body. I like to imagine that that is similar to the ocean end of the tide pools, where there's greater access to nutrient turnover, but also increased volatility due to all of that wave action. Although, as I'm not a marine biologist, I can't be sure that that's actually an accurate representation of the small intestine. Because of all of the stress that those microbes are experiencing, there are 10,000 times fewer microbes at the stomach end compared to the large intestine end. You see, as you move along the small intestine, things begin to stabilize. There is less access to raw nutrients and oxygen, but that actually suits your small intestine microbes just fine. Many of your gut microbes are anaerobes, which means they get killed by exposure to oxygen, so they actually prefer it down this end. Additionally, the lower amount of free available raw nutrients means that the community must move to a more fermentative and cooperative state, which actually drastically increases the amount of microbial diversity at this end of the small intestine. As such, it begins to resemble more what we see in the large intestine by the time we reach the end. A key challenge when studying the small intestine is that unlike tide pools, which we can just look into and see what's going on, we are unable to easily measure the community of the small intestine. You see, stool samples like the ones that I collect in my line of work don't represent the community of the small intestine. So if we want to look at human samples, we actually need to take samples from either people who are having surgery in that area or from people who've had special medical equipment inserted to move part of their digestion outside of their body. As such, these don't represent the general community super well. However, some people are trying to fix this. There's some really cool research going on into developing special capsules that systematically take little samples across the GI tract, including within the small intestine, which would give us unprecedented access to this understudied environment. Next time, we'll delve into the far more studied large intestine